What's up guys, Cody here. I'm on day 71 of the Odin project and I'm going to give you an update on what I did today. So I spent 5 hours working on the Odin project today, specifically working on the shopping cart. Last time I created a display cart feature to allow the user to actually display what they have in their cart at any given moment by clicking the icon in the top right corner over here. Today I decided to go back to the product card to actually make it a little bit less direct of editing the shopping cart so that the user can decide quantities that they want to add for each product, and then for each product they'll have an add button to actually add that specific quantity for that specific product to the cart. So making it a little bit disconnected from the shopping cart so that they're not editing the cart directly without actually being in the cart. So I want to save some of that functionality for the cart itself after kind of thinking about e-commerce platforms and how they work and what's a typical flow for a user experience from that perspective. So I'm going to go into what I did today for that product card and how I made that add button. To start off, I had to make a function to actually set the quantity in the cart. So this wasn't to increment or decrement values. This was to set a new quantity. How I did that was the parameters that are passed to it are new value, product ID, product name, product cost. So essentially the product information, including the quantity that is going to be added. And within the shopping cart, I look to see if there's already a product there. If there's not a product there with that particular ID, then it'll be added to the new shopping cart. And if there is a product in the cart, then it will find that product and add the new number that is being added to the cart to the quantity that's already in the cart. So it's adding to the quantity that's already in there. And then finally setting the shopping cart using the set state method. So I have to pass this function down to the product card level so it's actually accessible. And so we see that being done here. I pass it into the shop component, and then I'm not going to jump into the shop component because I'm just passing it then to the product card component. And within the product card component, I'm using it within this function here, the change product quantity function, which I have as an on-click event for the add button. So that's what it is actually going to add those product quantities to the cart. So from a user experience standpoint, we can now increment or decrement with the plus and minus, or the user can just enter a value by typing within this input. And so I did have to modify the handle decrease quantity, which is the incrementer, and the handle decrease quantity, which is the decrementer here. Instead of having them directly connected to the shopping cart state, which is at the route switch level, I was just having them manipulate the value of this input value. So that's what we see here with this document query selector for both of these, and setting that value of that quantity input to the new value that was either incremented or decremented here. In addition to those, as I mentioned, a new feature is available for the user to change the input by text. So it's just looking for an on text change, and if it is changed, then it will update the value accordingly. And then the quantity input will be actually utilized here for setting the cart. So you increment or decrement or add value by just adding text. And then the product ID is then utilized to get the quantity input from the document. Then the value of that quantity input is checked. If it's greater than or equal to 0, then it will set the quantity within the cart for that particular product. And then it will set the local quantity input back to 0 for it to be added again, for the user to add more if they want, or to start over. So when I click this add button, we'll see in the top right corner that it'll change to 66 because 66 quantities of that product were added to the cart. And we see that this product's quantity is now back to 0. Now, if I do this for another one, just by incrementing, it'll go up 4, which is what I added. So now we have 70 products in the cart. And then if we look at the cart, we actually see the actual quantities, and we see the products themselves, the oranges, the chocolate lexicon. And then I did start playing around with making the total values by product actually being displayed. Again, I need to really get this user interface worked up and in better shape. It's pretty bad right now, but I was just mainly working on this feature today for the product card, and just messing around with that final quantity and cost. That's all I got for you guys today. So if you guys are liking this, please hit the like button. And if you're interested in following mine and Emily's journey, then please subscribe. See you guys tomorrow.